All right, so today we're diving into something kind of out there. We're talking about auras,
Auras, yeah. It's a fascinating topic. We'll be digging into Joe H. Slate's Aura Energy for Health, Healing, and Balance.
which when I first heard it, I was picturing like Renaissance paintings with those halos around people's heads.
Right, right.
But Slate's book is actually way more practical, almost like a self-help guide.
Yeah, definitely. He gets into some really specific techniques.
He does. And he even talks about how college students have used these techniques to like improve their grades and stuff.
It's pretty wild, right? This idea that we have this untapped potential within us and we can use it to actually, impact our lives.
It's like we had these superpowers just waiting to be unlocked.
Exactly. And the aura, according to Slate, is the key to unlocking them.
So let's back up a bit.
hmm
For those who might be new to this whole thing, what exactly is an aura?
Well, Slate describes it as this life-sustaining energy force, this kind of vital energy that surrounds all living beings.
Okay, so it's not just some mystical woo-woo thing. It's actually important.
Exactly. He argues that it's essential to our very being, and that by understanding and working with our auras, we can tap into this deeper level of ourselves.
Okay, I'm intrigued. But can we actually see this life force? Like, is it visible?
That's where it gets really interesting. Slate claims that with practice, anyone can learn to see auras.
Really? How does he have like a special pair of glasses or something?
Not quite. He describes a bunch of techniques in the book, some simpler than others.
Like that one where you stare at someone's forehead and try to blur your vision?
Yeah, the whiteout technique. It sounds kind of strange, I know, but he explains it as engaging a different kind of perception.
Like we're activating our third eye or something.
Exactly. And he even tells this wild story about his students using this technique to see a ghost named Abigail.
Okay, now that's just creepy, but also kind of awesome.
Right. It definitely makes you wonder what else we're capable of perceiving if we just knew how to look.
So let's say we can see auras. What do the colors mean? Are they all sunshine and rainbows or what?
Well, according to Slate, each color has its own unique meaning, kind of like an energetic personality profile.
So it's like a mood ring, but for your soul.
Kind of. He says blue represents tranquility and balance. Yellow signifies intelligence and dependability. Green is associated with growth and healing. There's a whole spectrum.
So if I see someone with a red aura, should I be worried?
Not necessarily. Red can indicate passion and energy, but it can also be a sign of anger or stress. It's all about context.
So how do you know what's what? It seems pretty subjective.
That's a really good point. And Slate acknowledges that cultural backgrounds and personal interpretations can play a role in how we understand these colors. There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
So it's more about looking for patterns and using your intuition.
Exactly. It's like learning a new language. The more you practice, the more fluent you become.
Okay, so it's not like a traffic light system. You don't just see red and think, danger, danger.
Right, right.
It's more nuanced than that.
Yep. It is, yeah. It's about looking at the whole picture, considering the person's personality, their current situation, all of it.
And are there different layers to the aura? Like, is it just one big bubble or is it more complex?
Oh, it's definitely more complex than that. Slate talks about multiple layers, each with its own unique frequency and meaning.
Whoa, multiple layers. So like those Russian nesting dolls.
Kinda, yeah. He says the outermost layer can even extend to infinity, connecting us to this vast web of energy.
Whoa, infinity.
Hmm.
Okay, now you're just messing with me.
No, I'm serious. It's like we're all connected by this invisible energy field. Pretty wild, huh?
It is. But if it's invisible, how can we see it? Or feel it, for that matter?
Well, Slate argues that it's more about sensing it with your intuition. He has a technique called the walk-in procedure, where you basically walk towards someone and pay attention to the energy you feel.
Like an energy-detecting robot. Beep, boop, sensing high levels of tranquility over here.
You got it. And as you get closer, you might start to perceive those different layers, the ones that are stronger and more intense closer to the body.
So it's about trusting your gut. Your intuition.
Exactly. It's about tuning into those subtle cues that we often ignore. And for people who are more visually oriented, he has another technique called the focal point procedure.
Okay, I'm all about visuals. Tell me more about this one.
So imagine there's a shiny object placed behind the person whose aura you want to see. You focus on that object and then slowly expand your vision, kind of like we were talking about with the whiteout technique, and that can help you perceive the aura.
So it's about training your perception, using a visual aid to see what's normally hidden.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder what else we could be capable of seeing if we just knew how to look.
Now that's exciting. And what about seeing our own auras? Can we do that?
Slate says yes. He describes something called the psychic self-perception procedure, which involves relaxation, visualization, and basically turning your attention inwards.
So instead of looking outwards, you're going within, trying to sense your own energy.
You got it. He believes that by quieting the mind and focusing inwards, we can become aware of our own energetic signature.
This is blowing my mind. So we've covered seeing auras, both our own and others, and we've even talked about some techniques for influencing them. But can we circle back to the colors? I'm curious about what the other colors mean.
Sure, we already touched on blue, yellow, and green, but there are plenty more. For instance, there's green, which is all about growth, healing, and nature. People with a strong green aura might be drawn to things like gardening, herbalism, working with animals, that sort of thing.
Makes sense. It's like they're tapped into the Earth's energy. What about pink? I've always loved pink.
Pink is often associated with love, compassion, and sensitivity. Think about it. Pink is the color of rose quartz, which is often used to attract love and promote self-love.
So a pink aura might mean someone is a hopeless romantic, or maybe a really great listener.
Could be. They might also be very intuitive and empathetic, the kind of person who just radiates warmth and kindness.
I like those people.
Mhm.
Okay, what about orange? Orange is such a vibrant color.
It is. Orange is often associated with energy, enthusiasm, ambition, that go-getter energy.
So we're talking about the entrepreneurs, the adventurers, the life of the party.
Exactly. They might also be very creative and have a strong drive to succeed. They're not afraid to stand out from the crowd.
I can see that. Okay, what about brown? That one seems a bit more understated.
Brown is often associated with practicality, stability, and a connection to the earth. People with a strong brown aura are often very grounded, reliable, and down to earth.
The kind of people you want on your team when things get tough.
Exactly. They're the rock, the steady hand, they get things done.
Love it. Okay, what about purple? Purple always seemed like a very mystical color to me.
It is. Purple is often associated with spirituality, intuition, wisdom, and a connection to the divine.
So we're talking about the healers, the artists, the visionaries, the people who see the world a little differently.
Exactly. They often have a rich inner life and a deep understanding of themselves and the world around them. They might be drawn to things like meditation, energy work, or exploring different spiritual practices.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot of colors. But what about the not so positive ones? Are there colors that indicate something negative? Like gray, for example.
That's an interesting one. Gray is often associated with negativity, fear, anxiety, that sort of thing, but it's not always a bad sign. Like with everything else, it's about context.
So you wouldn't see a bit of gray and immediately freak out.
Right. It could just be that the person is feeling a bit stressed or run down. It doesn't necessarily mean there's something seriously wrong.
It's like a snapshot of their energy in that moment.
Exactly. And remember, auras are constantly changing. What you see one day might be different the next.
So we're not stuck with the same colors forever.
Nope. Our auras are dynamic and ever-changing, just like us.
That's actually kind of empowering when you think about it. We have the ability to shift and change our energy.
Absolutely. And that's really the whole point of Slate's book, is it not? To empower us to take control of our own energy and our own lives.
Now that's something I think we can all get behind. But before we wrap up this fascinating dive into auras, I want to ask about something else Slate mentions. Cosmic congruency.
Ah, yes. That's where it gets really interesting, even a little mystical.
It does sound pretty cosmic. So what is it, and what does it have to do with our auras?
It's basically about being in tune with the universe, like when everything's aligned and you're in the flow.
Okay, I can kind of picture that. But how does it relate to our auras?
Well, Slate believes that when we're in that state of cosmic congruency, our aura reflects it.
So it's like our aura becomes this beacon of pure, positive energy.
Exactly. It becomes more balanced, more vibrant, almost luminous, he says.
That sounds pretty amazing.
Uh-huh.
But how do we get there? Is there a special meditation or something?
Slate talks about a few things, actually. Meditation is one of them, but also visualization, spending time in nature, things like that.
So it's about connecting with something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly. It's about quieting the mind, tapping into that universal energy that flows through all of us.
Okay, I'm feeling very zen right now.
Huh.
But let's be real for a sec. For those of us who might be a bit skeptical, is there any scientific evidence to support this whole aura thing?
That's a fair question. I mean, the scientific community hasn't fully embraced the concept of auras just yet, but there are some interesting connections to emerging fields like biofield science.
Biofield science. That sounds pretty out there.
It is, but it's basically the study of the energy fields that surround all living things.
So, like, the energy we can't see with our naked eyes.
Exactly. And some scientists believe that these fields can be measured and even influenced, which kind of lines up with what Slate's talking about with the aura massage and stuff.
Interesting. So even if we can't see it under a microscope, our energy might still be real.
That's the idea. And then there's the whole placebo effect, The power of belief can have a huge impact on our well-being.
So even if someone doesn't buy into the whole aura thing, just by practicing these techniques, the visualization, the meditation, they might still experience some benefits.
Exactly, because they're tapping into the mind-body connection, which is very powerful.
It's like we're harnessing the power of our own minds to influence our physical and emotional state.
Right. And when you think about it, that in itself is pretty amazing.
Totally. So we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about seeing auras, interpreting their colors, even influencing them. We even got a little cosmic there at the end.
We did. It's been quite a journey.
It has. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is that there's still so much we don't know about ourselves and the universe around us.
Absolutely. And that's okay. It's about staying curious, staying open-minded, and maybe even having a little fun with it.
Because who knows? Maybe there's more to this aura thing than meets the eye.
Maybe. Listen, we all have these hidden superpowers just waiting to be unleashed.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into the fascinating world of auras.
Until next time.
Keep those vibes high, everyone.